What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan podcast, where we are intolerant to weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Going to talk a little solo today. I got some buddies coming up in August. We're going to go on an Alpine deer hunt. So this is kind of they've been asking questions, gear they should bring, how to be prepared. So this will kind of answer some of those questions. So Southeast Alaska, the Alpine hunts are different than some of the Alpine stuff that you'll do up north. I've never been to Kodiak or done hunts there, but as far as Southeast Alaska, one of the biggest things right off the bat as far as stuff to bring that people might not think about, because it is a temperate rainforest down here, and we get you get a very lush coating up on top. I've had some buddies that come up when they get to the Alpine, they just don't expect it to look the way it does. If you're from California and you get to the top of these mountains, it's just monolithic faces. It's just sheer rock that's been carved by glaciers. But on the tops of the mountains here, there are some rock faces, but by and large, it's this carpety alpine, almost sponge type, and there's some really lush vegetation up there, and so that becomes very, very slick. So the one thing that I have to make sure that I mention as far as gear to bring, number one would be crampons, and trekking poles would be a close second. The crampons just fit right over your boot. They're going to give you traction when you're up top. They dig in. Some people don't use them. Some people use corkers on the bottom of extra tough boots. I've used those, and I like those because you're going to have waterproof feet, but I do like the ankle support that comes with wearing my regular hiking boots, and then put the crampons over it. So that way you're not sacrificing ankle support just to be dry. So there are different brands of crampons. I'm spacing on the first brand that I had, but the chain that came out of it that attached to the spikes, it wasn't reinforced where it met with the plastic. So it tore out. The chain tore out, and so it ended up being, I had to use a zip tie to fix it up there on the mountain. But when you're choosing your crampons, make sure that where the rubber that fits over the boot attaches to the chain that leads to the spikes, make sure that that's reinforced so that doesn't tear out, because you're going to put your foot at weird angles, and it's going to put a lot of stress on those holes, and you don't want to tear out of that rubber when you're up on a mountain. Trekking poles, really important. I have a pair of black diamond ones that are great, and there are people that say, oh, it's up on the mountains, man, I don't need that, it's fine, I don't need no trekking poles. Yeah, you might not, but it doesn't make the meat taster. It doesn't make the experience better, and you're only talking about a little bit of weight, and so it's absolutely worth the amount of weight to get a trekking pole. I've been coming down mountains, and there was one where the ground kind of gave out. It was a real muddy little area, and the ground gave out, and I happened to have one pole really dug in, and my entire body kind of swung on that, and the thing bent. It didn't bend and stay, but it bent under my weight and then went back to its original shape. So those things are pretty tough. So trekking poles, the black diamonds, the ones that I have, and crampons, you got to bring those. Really important there. Also, because it's a rainforest, water drains pretty good here, and if there's not a really good snowpack, water is going to be a concern the other way. So while if you're up there and it's going to be raining and it's going to be miserable hiking around up there, you do want to make sure that if it does happen to be dry, that you have a good water source. Some of the spots you might have some snow that you can, obviously make sure you melt it before you drink it, because it takes more calories to melt the water and then absorb it. So you actually lose calories. You become more dehydrated by eating ice and snow than you do by melting it first and then drinking it. But make sure that there's going to be water that's there. If there is, then you can not hike, or not pack quite as much, so it makes the hike a little bit easier. But make sure that you're there, or where you're going to be going, and so that you can plan for water when you're up there. So there's some small pumps. Some of the big volume pumps are nice, but some of the spots you might not be getting a whole lot of water. So some people use the straw, but I use that little straw filter thing, which is nice. I have a little hand pump. It's a MSR pump. That's kind of nice. But some of those and platypus, maybe, I don't know what the brand is for sure, but those can be good. Make sure you have some sort of water purification. So that's in addition to, obviously, you need your camping gear. You're going to want rain gear for sure. Some nice Gore-Tex stuff. You're going to have stuff that's in layers, so you can take stuff off. Because nothing's more miserable than you're hiking in the rain. So the elevation or the grade of the hike is making you sweat on the inside, and then that's all locked in because you have the Gore-Tex to keep you from getting wet from the rain. You just get hot and muggy, and it's pretty sick. So obviously bring a pack, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, all that stuff. But as far as other tips that are really important, number one, as far as preparation, and you should probably start this now, which is why I'm doing this now in late May, is to be in shape. It's really important to be in shape because you can have crampons and you can have trekking poles, but if you're in shape, you're still going to be miserable. It's one thing to get up there, but if you get up there and you're glassing it and the buck that you want is on another ridge, you got to be able to responsibly go over there and get it. If you're gassed or if you're winded or you don't have much left in the tank, it almost becomes a dangerous situation. So the better shape you are getting in there, and the day that you go up, you might not be expecting to shoot anything, but what if that's when you see the buck that you want to make a move on and you're so gassed from the hike that you can't make that move, or you do make the move and get over there, but you can't get back with the animal. So in order to make sure that you do things right, show up in shape. Some of the things that make that miserable is if you go on walks or you're at the gym and you're working out, and you're in gym shoes and you're in shorts and you're in a t-shirt, that's a really comfortable place to work out. And there are certain workouts that don't translate at all to hunting. I've had some friends that have come up here and they've gone on hikes and they're really in shape, CrossFit type people, but there's really nothing that replicates hiking a mountain. So you can do pull-ups and you can kip and you can deadlift and you can back squat and you can do all that, and that's gonna put you in great shape. Don't misunderstand me there. But when you're hiking up a mountain and you're looking at a couple thousand feet of elevation, the stabilizers are some of the things that just get hammered. Knees, hips, back. If you're not used to carrying a load in your pack and you're slouching forward and your shoulder can be bad and it takes everything out of alignment. So being in shape is really important, and doing things that get you in a practical climbing sort of shape. And so it's not just your cardiovascular shape or your lungs and heart are good to go, but also, like I said, those stabilizers and having strong ankles and strong knees.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Because oftentimes, if you're side hilling something to get toward a deer, your ankle is going to be half rolled. That's just to get over. So if you have weak ankles or you have ankles that aren't very flexible, working on that flexibility in the next, you only have 2 months now until August. So if you're weak in the ankles, be working on ankle stability stuff. I'm going to have a buddy on next week, and we're going to talk about specific things that you can do because I'm not a trainer. But ankles are going to take a beating, hips are going to take a beating, the lower back's going to take a beating with the pack. So Practical exercises, not necessarily about a ton of weight, but it's about making sure that you can execute a hike in your hiking boots with a pack that's heavy on gear going up and food and water, and then heavy on a deer coming back down. As far as prepping for that, make sure that you don't buy brand new boots and the first time you've worn them is up here. I've noticed that I can be in really good shape for running, jogging, and that. But the first time that I put on my Alpine boots and I do a hike in those, it's just so much heavier. It's almost like wearing leg weights. And so I have the tendency to rotate my hips a little bit. And so as I swing, I get this weird pain on the inside of my knee and then on my hip because I'm not used to the weight of the boots. And so if you're wearing Nike Frees, you're wearing really, really light shoes. It's pretty easy for your body to move them around, but you can get exhausted. Your hip flexors can get super, super tired from just lugging around these hiking boots. So, and then if they are brand new and they happen to get damp or there's sweat or they're just because they're new and not broken in, you get a blister, then you're going to be walking weird because of the blister. If you get a blister on the way up the mountain of a 2 or 3 day camp out, then you're in trouble right off the bat. So make sure the hiking boots are worn in. Make sure the socks that you're wearing are washed and worn in. Make sure they're going to be good to go. Make sure everything that you've worn has been worn before, just so you kind of know how it's going to fit. Some people buy layering and they haven't worn it before, and so they have this nice hooded sweatshirt, this merino wool hoodie, but it doesn't fit well with the jacket they have. And so the jacket is a little bit too small. The hoodie is a little bit too big, and so it's miserable. The layering systems that companies have helps. Just make sure that stuff fits. I mean, you might buy a system from Sitka, but you might find that it's a little bit tight in the shoulders or it's a little bit short. So make sure that you've bought the stuff if you do that and that the layers actually work and you've not just tried them on and walked around the house, but you've done some exercising in them. You've walked around in them. You've been a little bit miserable in them, for sure. And then be ready to take a variety of different shots. If you're bow hunting, my buddies Zach and Cody came up here. They'd taken a lot of different shots with their bows, and then with their rifles. So it wasn't just from a bench they're going to be able to take this shot, or with a bow, just standing there and taking an easy shot. When Zach shot his pretty nice bear, he drew and he had to wait for it to walk into the line of fire, and it was a slightly downhill shot. It was across a river. There's just a lot of distractions going on there, but he made a really good shot, and he got a great bear. So practicing those sort of situations is important. Practicing shooting offhand. If you are alpine hunting, there's a chance that you're going to be shooting prone uphill. There's going to be prone downhill. So shooting and being prepared for all that. Also, the second shot could be important because you might send it. You might if you do happen to spook something and then it's running away from you, and then it happens to stand. You have to make that shot on the fly. You ranged it at 85, and then it ran for a while. And you're not sure how far it ran, so now it's standing broadside. Being able to relax and take that second shot. You airmailed the first one, and now it's standing there. It's broadside. Be able to calm back down to make a second shot. I had a bad shot on a deer once, and the second shot put it down. A buddy of mine airmailed or put a good shot into a goat. The thing stood back up. It dropped it and then rose back up, and then he airmailed the second one, feet above it. We saw it deflect off the rocks, and the third shot put it down and killed it. So this is all within, 9 seconds or whatever. When I went on my recent bear hunt, I dropped it on the first one, and then as it was getting up, put a second one in, and that finished it off. So being able to take that second shot is important. And then being able to retrieve it. If you're up on the Alpine, it's going to be real slick. There's sometimes that there's nothing really to catch that deer, and once it gets sliding, it can get swallowed up by the mountain. So being in shape to, you've made it all the way to the top, and you've got camp, and you go across a ridge and you find a deer and you shoot it and it slides halfway down the mountain. You might have to go all the way down all the Alpine to the timber and then get it out of there. So making sure that you're in shape to do all that, be willing to do that, it's going to be important, because when you see that buck, you might get super excited, and that the adrenaline might get the best of you, but you got to get it out of there. So that's kind of the basics. To recap here, as far as gear, that in addition to your pack and all that, make sure you bring crampons to fit over your boot. That are really important for grip. Even if it's sunny, and it has been sunny for a couple days, that stuff is so lush. And if it's super slick, it's gonna your feet might slide out from you, especially if you're going downhill with all that meat and with that heavy pack. It's good to have those. Trekking poles are important for at least having 2 points of contact at all times, preferably 3. So you have at least 1 foot and 2 trekking poles down. Having those points of contact will be really, really important. So in case you do slip, you're good to go. And then in preparation for those slips, which will happen, work on exercises that deal with the stabilizers. Squats, leg press, that's neat. That's all great stuff. But that's not going to help you. If you don't have trekking poles, you're going to be 1 foot at a time. And so if you have 1 foot up and you have one of those micro slips and that other foot isn't down, all that weight, everything is shifting, and then it's just those stabilizers on the outside of the knee or on the ankle. That's what's going to keep you up. And if you don't have any sort of that lateral strength, that's when you can fall, you can slip. And again, I'm going to talk to a buddy of mine who's going to talk through some exercises that you can do to kind of prepare yourself for those sort of things. He's done a bunch of hikes in California, and he's been up here, and he's familiar with the terrain. So get your crampons, get trekking poles. Water is a concern. Make sure you take care of that, and then make sure that you are in cardiovascular shape and that your legs are ready and your lower back and shoulders are ready to handle different exercises. Feels different. But practice, get excited, get some good gear, and looking forward to it. August just around the corner, a couple months. Never too early to get in shape for it. And if you are not in any sort of shape right now, you better get there. You don't want being in shape to ruin the hunt of a lifetime in Southeast Alaska. So that'll do it for this episode. Quick little episode, little tips there, and we will talk to you next time. Make sure that you go to themediocrealaskan.com for other content. I'm going to be posting some videos about some exercises to do, some packing list for Alpine deer, and there you go. Hopefully you're on your way up here. Get excited about it. I sure am. Talk to you next time.